Hi, welcome all. Welcome to Applause Training. Today we are going to discuss like Linux basics and shell scripting. So today we are starting with Linux basics and shell scripting. So this particular module, it will cover the Linux basics along with the uh, shell scripting things. So let us see the outline before we start with. So how we classified the outline and what you are supposed to expect from this. Okay, before starting that, you can see the information here. So if you want to contact us, this is the just a second. This is the information, what is the website and then email and then our phone contact. So uh, so this is the basic information. So let's start with Linux basics and shell scripting. So let us check what we have. So whenever you see this particular one, Linux basics, so don't think like no very basic. It is not too basic, but why we named as Linux basics. So why we named as Linux basics means Linux is a ocean. So it means like no mislead if I just say Linux. So it has lot many things like application programming, system programming, kernel, device driver, network programming. So many things, shell scripting. So many things. It is very ocean actually. So someone sees Linux, then it will not be any no he may be confused. Those who know. So that's what we named as Linux basics. So someone sees Linux basics, they will feel this one as okay. This is a basic means to deal with the commands and then shell scripting actually. So somebody may ask like no why we can't directly start with shell scripting, why we need to do have a Linux basics. So it is like no very important. Shell scripting means directly it will not start. Shell scripting will contain whatever it is there in the Linux basics. So whatever we do in this particular Linux basics in your project, you will be definitely using the Linux basic things, like know how you will create a directory, create a files, link the files, copy the files, search for the file, removing the files, and so many other operations actually. So that is part of the Linux basics that you will be doing from the shell scripting. So that's what the main intention. Okay, so let us start. So here what we have classified, into 5 chapters or five whatever modules or submodules, whatever we can name, but let us say 5 chapters actually. So first one is introduction to Unix or Linux. So we'll see the history of Unix, how Unix started, and then the Linux, and then basically whatever the related things, whatever we noted here, directories, basic commands, and then meta character, wildcard, and then the main thing is VI editor in the Linux actually. So that is the main thing. So like as an administrator, as a system programmer, you may be knowing, you may be using the VI, but not all will use. But it is very useful to learn this whenever you use the Linux thing. So this is very important. So that's not a usual editor. We'll see that one in detail. And then Linux documentation. So this is the part one or chapter one, what it constitutes of. So let's go with the second chapter, like file utilities. So whatever the you can see here, more of the file related things, like no file operations. So these are the main things what you will be needing. Not only here when you are working the project as a developer, application developer, or system programmer, or maybe like a administrator. So you may be needing all these things actually. So this we will be seeing. Okay, so like standard IO, redirection, pipes, file descriptors, and then file access, how you will access, and links, and then file integrity and all those things. So then the Linux utilities. So this one, process utilities and text processing utilities. Of course, you cannot classify each portion into only that particular chapter, very hard. So let us assume text processing utilities, you can move to the file utility. So it doesn't matter actually. So no, we cannot classify first, second, third like that, because one is interdependent on other things. Okay, so the main intention here is disk utilities, process utilities, and text processing utilities, some miscellaneous commands, and compressing and archiving. So these like no, you may it is like all the topics may not be mandatory needed for all, but it will be very quite helpful if you learn, and then you can learn the basic one, and then if you want to experiment on your project, you can proceed with the next things. So this is the third chapter what it has. And then moving forward, we have the Linux system administrative basics. So here like no, system administrative basics, that's what we told. So it like whenever you take administrative things like installation and all, it will not come into picture. Little thing we will talk about the packet management, means Linux will default come with certain packages, certain like no things by default, but you want additional libraries or something like that. Let us assume it will come with VI editor, but I want Vim editor, so it will not be available. You need to install that actually. So that is part of the packet management. So like, but we will not this is the in this particular thing, the scope is not building a line like no, installing a Linux system. That is not scope of this particular topic. So you need to refer other sites for that actually. So Linux, how you have to install and all. So basically installation also the main part for the administrative things, but we are not going to cover because that is not part of that. But why we have put this one is, as a programmer, he has to know the administrative things. As a programmer or administrator, like no, you need to know little of things. So that's what we are not going to see the implementation, we are going to see that one like no, as a usage, as a user. So that's what it is important. So networking, file systems, devices, administrative, super user, privileges, and packet management, all that particular things in that Linux administrative basics. So fifth chapter we have devoted totally to the shell scripting actually. So we had named this one as only in one chapter, so it's okay if we can divide that and however you want to, but we have classified into only the 5 chapter. 4 is Linux basics, and then this one is shell scripting. Okay, so various command line interpreter, various shells, and basically we will be seeing the bash shell only. Okay, born again shell. So that's what we'll be seeing. And then you can see the topics: conditional statement, repetitive statements, execution, functions, signal handling, all that things. But and then utilities, of course, whatever these utilities you can move into other chapter also. But as I said earlier, like no, you cannot exactly classify which unit and all. It is okay. It means overall you need to know all that particular things. So that's what the intention. Okay, so this is a brief overview of the contents what we are supposed to cover. Okay, so I'll just close this. We will see this one. Anyway, you can have access of this and you can check on that particular one. So let us start with the introduction to Unix and Linux actually. Okay, so whenever we see this particular Unix and Linux, so whatever we are going to see now, the first one is of little of theory actually. Okay, so theory is important. Why? Because like that is the main thing. Before we start looking at the basic commands or scripting and all, you need to understand the little theory also. So like at this part of time theory, you may be like little maybe you may little you feel little bored, but I suggest you like no, I will try to keep you not to get bored, but I'll try actually. So and then this is very much important. So like no, we have classified this one, we have gathered this lot of information from various sites, and then like no, I'm trying to give. So it will be a very good reading for good listening to for you to understand the introduction Unix and Linux. I'm not going to depth like no, history means 1970s it is started like that, 1960 it is started like that, nothing like that actually. So I am not going to cover, because that you can check on that particular histories when it is started and all, which may be like no, which may not be that much useful in this particular topics. Okay, so let us start with Unix and history. Okay, so this is Unix and history. So before this particular Unix and history, we'll see what is the operating system. As you people know what is operating system, it is an interface between the user and then like no, user and then computer. That is a basic term, but really it is a application and the kernel. So that is the technical term. So operating system is an interface between a application and the kernel. So whenever I write an application, I should not damage the system. So then who will be guaranteeing? Operating system will be guaranteeing that one. Means I should not destroy the disk or destroy anything, or I cannot, let us assume this Linux like operating system is a multi-user, so I cannot delete some of my other user files or directories. So that is like no protection. So all that things will be supported by the operating system. So you can refer various sites to more to know more about that, but we will try to cover most of the things. Okay, to start with, it started with Multics. It is called multiplexed information and computing system or service. Sometimes people say service also. So multiplexed information and computing system. So that's what it is started. Means three companies majorly: MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, General Electric, and then like Bell Labs. They have started with a project called Multics. So their whole purpose is like to divide the CPU and memory to be distributed for the multiple users actually. But the first project Multics is a failure project. Why? Because there was no differentiation of the RAM and RAM memory and all, and then that was very complex actually. So you can refer the site for more details on that. So that was a failure project, and then they went with the Unix. So failure means once failure, they were not stopped, they went to the next stage actually, how to make it success. So that's what the Unix came. That is nothing but uniplexed. UNI stands for uniplexed, C stands for computing, S stands for service or system. So uniplexed information and computing system. So uniplexed information and computing system. I stands for information. So that's what the Unix name came. So what is the idea of Unix is memory and then CPU will be distributed among equally, but among the other users, but the memory will be in two portions actually. So read-only memory and read-write memory. So read-only memory is for the operating system, random access memory is the application to run. So that's what the intention. And then from there they named as Unix actually. So interface means uniplexed information and computing system interface, nothing but Unix, UNIX. And then so from Unix we have got Linux. So why we have got Linux means Unix is a proprietary system. So it says it costs you lakhs of rupees actually. So license to Unix, you want to take lakhs of rupees, you need to invest. But a normal user cannot afford that much. So that's what like Linus Torvalds come into picture, and then he has did this particular Linux operating system as a project actually. So as a his final year project he was started with, and then the main thing of the Linux is like no free. So instead of the proprietary you need to pay money for that, no, it is Linux purpose is free operating system. So we'll talk about Linux more on Linux on the upcoming slides. Okay, so that is the base of the whatever the introduction to operating system. So now the types of operating system: single user, multi-user. So nobody nowadays will use the single user. So because all we need is a interaction between the multiple people. Like let us assume you use the latest phones, right? So I want to someone will send me a audio or video or images I want to download. So it is nothing but multi-users, like no something like that. This is not exactly multi-user, but I have given the example. Multi-user means like one operating system I have, so multiple people can access that particular operating system at the same time. So that is the purpose of the multi-user operating system. So Linux is multi-user, of course Unix and Windows 2000, and then Windows version you can have a look. I am not too sure, Windows NT also. So that are the multi-user operating system. And the single user is disk operating system, MS-DOS, Microsoft disk operating system. That is the single user. So yeah, so that is the brief of the operating system. So if you can see here, family history, some how Unix has evolved and how Linux like that. So if you see this particular, I have given the slide here on the down, like no, you can check on this. So I have taken this slide from this particular site. Okay, so here there, if you see this one, it has started with Unix from 1970s actually. So Unix has two flavors, basically like no BSD and System 5. So System 5 release 4, SVR 4 actually. So System 5 SVR SVR4, it is 5, it is wrongly written, SVR4, System 5 family, and then BSD family. So, and remaining all free BSD means Berkeley Software Distribution actually. So other OSs came from this particular thing. So let us assume a Mac OS. So Mac OS, they bought the Berkeley Software distribution. They bought that one for a huge price, and then they modified that operating system and made into Mac OS. Okay, like that. So and then if you see this one GNU, this particular Linux, it is not taken from anything, but it main for Linux, the it has taken from Unix actually. Means what? They have not used files or whatever that particular implementation. They have seen the Unix and how it has to be, and then they implemented the Linux actually. But they have not taken any let us say libraries or any files or anything actually, any source or anything they have not taken, only as a user perspective. So it is okay, look and feel. So if you just take an example of car, by seeing car, okay, accelerator it got, brake it got, clutch it got, but how it is interconnected, how it is connected with the main thing and everything, they have not taken actually. So what Linux has taken is only from the user perspective. Okay, what is the look and feel? Okay, we need terminal. Okay, we need GUI, we need non-GUI. Okay, so like that they have taken from the Unix and implemented. Okay, so let's move to the, so you can refer exactly about this in the the net to you if you want to know more. Okay, so now to start with, as I said earlier, Unix little bit, this is theoretical, so please keep patience, and then I hope you'll get a little benefit of little benefit maybe in every slide actually. And if you already know this, then it may useful for you as a refreshing thing actually. So it either case it is useful. Okay, so please bear with me for some time for this thing, and then we'll proceed with the commands and then scripting things. Okay, so in Unix or Linux, both are same actually. So then everything is a file. Everything is a file means I have a hard drive, that is a file. I have a terminal, that is a file. So everything is a file actually. So that's what the philosophy. So everything is a file. We'll see more about in the upcoming sessions actually. And so these are the philosophy you can see here, like make each program do one thing well, and portability over efficiency. So because whenever you write something, it has to be portable actually. So I write something which has to work in the other system also. So that's what it has to be portable, like Unix actually. So but if I take a Unix application, I put in Windows, it is not portable. But let us assume I have written whatever the C program, and you compile into that particular operating system. So that's what that one. But let us assume I have a one Linux one, it is mostly it will work in the other Linux system. So portability means that is the base of the portable. So in one sense. So another portable in the portability in the sense let us assume I have writing one code actually. So now I change the CPU, I change the CPU, and then I need to rewrite the code. So that is not the way we will look actually. So whenever you change the CPU or change that particular operating system in some cases, so it has to work as it is actually. So if a small program doesn't matter, but industry program running into so much of effort actually, lakhs of lines of code, you'll want to rewrite that one if some small processor changed, or whatever the operating system version changed. If that application, it should not be like that actually, it has to be portable actually. So let us assume Unix X released, X.1 released. So if that X.1 you need to recode entire thing, it is not the right operating system support actually. So it has to have backward compatibility also. So that's what that talks about the portability. So that is one sense. Portability means the same application running in multiple systems, that is one kind. Portability means if you change the processor and all, still it has to work portable. So we can say in that sense as well. Okay, so and then if you see here, avoid captive user interfaces. If you see the Linux, GUI is not that great when we compare with Windows. So this is my personal opinion. So but it is very powerful in terms of command and all, it is very powerful. Okay, so this is, you can refer more on this particular one. And why Unix is you have whatever these particular points why you need to use the Unix. So robust, proven, seasoned, and all. So you can go through this side and do. So I want to cover one point. So any operating system, like let us assume, any operating system, basically you have only one way. But if you take Linux actually, so you can run the Linux without GUI or with GUI actually. Generally, all operating system will not have like that. But if you don't want the GUI, yes, even you can run your operating system without the GUI. So that is the advantage you will get in the uh, Linux or Unix operating system. So both Unix and Linux, we can use the name interchangeably. So going further, we'll see only Unix, only Linux. But as of now, because we are just looking the Unix and just we are using the term Unix, but 99.99% of times both are same actually. Okay, so implementation thing. Okay, but implementation means from user perspective it is same, but implementation thing it may be different. Okay, so if you see main Unix features, these are the main Unix features. So if you start with uh, Unix or Linux features, multi-user and secure. As I told, secure means like other user should not if 2-3 users are running parallelly their applications in the same Unix system, one user cannot corrupt the other user related files and directories or whatever the data. So that's what the secure it has to give. And multi-user, multiple users has to work at the same time. And administrative user with all privileges means let us assume my program is running, and then infinitely something I want to do, and otherwise I'm using more disk space. Then if you cannot let us assume another user is using more of disk space, I don't have any more memory to store, then I cannot remove his files and all. So administrator or super user permissions who has that particular one can do that particular kind of tasks actually. So that are the privileges. We can talk a little more on that with experiments in the respective units, Linux administrative basics. In that particular chapter we'll see that particular one. Now the preemptive multitasking. So preemptive multitasking means I can have multiple users, I'm telling, and each user can run multiple applications also. So let us assume I am logging in, I want to run only application, I may not prefer that. Let us assume I'm using my mobile phone. So let us assume I am just or I am using a laptop. Let us assume I am writing Word document, and at the same time I want to listen to music, and at the same time I want to download the file. Okay, so let us assume three tasks I am doing actually. So means what? One user only, but multitasking you are doing. So one is you are writing the Word document or whatever the document, and second one listening to music, third one downloading the video. So all these things should run parallelly. If only one after one it will work means nobody will use that particular thing. So after Word document only then you will listen to songs means it is not at all usable operating system actually. So every operating system is a multitasking operating system. Preemptive means before the task is finished, it can take to that particular one in the secondary disk, and then it will run the next process. So that we will see more on the upcoming thing. And you can support any Linux will support multiple processors and extremely flexible application. It will work with multiple processor and all, and networking support. So every Linux system should have networking, otherwise nobody will use. And portability, scalability, we have already seen the portability thing. So change of CPU or it should not affect actually. So and scalability means what? Your operating system, let us assume it will be for 50 users it is working perfectly, then 100 users it will not work. It is not like that actually. So it has to be scalable. So only it will work for 2 users perfectly, but 5 users it will not work. Of course there may be certain slow, but doesn't matter actually. But is all operations should be able to satisfy. So that's what it is the main features of Unix and Linux. So if you see this particular one, now we will see with the Unix system architecture. So we can classify the user space, kernel space, hardware space. Okay, so and then so here we can see here whatever the user space, command line applications, GUI applications, shared libraries. So you may not be able to understand all this. Some things like shared libraries are not part of this particular our scope, but so I've just given this thing so in order to have a base understanding of the what is Unix architecture. And then the same Unix architecture is represented in multiple ways. So this you can see here from unix.com. I have taken this. So our main intention is only the four things like hardware, kernel, and then shell, which is nothing but whatever our shell or like command line interpreter, and then programs. So if you see this one, these are the main. So in internally hardware will be there. Hardware will be interacting with kernel. So a shell, if you take that one, shell will interact with kernel through system call interface. But application cannot directly contact this particular kernel here, but there is some way, that is nothing but the system programming. Okay, so but hardware you cannot access by any means actually, because it has to be protected. So hardware only will be accessible by the kernel. So if you take this particular architecture, so it is divided into four: hardware, kernel, shell, command line interpreter, and programs, application programs. Okay, so that is the four divisions. You can check more on this particular one in the in the internet, and this is the site which it explains in detail. And a couple of the applications you may be knowing or may not be interested at this point of time. We can some things may not even come. So if you say G++, this is a the C++ compiler. GCC is a C compiler. So like that, some things we will see, something we cannot see because that is not our scope. The date is a command we can see. VI we will see. Like ES is assembler, we will not see. So who I am and all that we can see. These are the like system call interface. Okay, so that what do you mean by that? We'll have a brief thing in the upcoming slide. Okay, so let us go with the next one. So I have classified now the same Unix architecture into three spaces: user space, kernel space, hardware space actually. Okay, so user space is our application, and this application can be normal application or GUI application, anything. Even this particular box, you can have any number of layers actually, but for our simplification I have just had one layer only. And then if you see this one, application directly can call the kernel and OS services actually. So if you tell what is difference between kernel and operating system, you can say in simple words, operating system means kernel plus libraries plus utilities actually. So that's what in a simple sense means. Kernel is a core of the operating system, but without the libraries, without the utilities, you cannot do anything actually. So let us assume you have everything, but you don't have nobody will give you a ls terminal thing. Then what we can do? We cannot do anything actually. Okay, so kernel plus libraries and then utilities is nothing but the operating system. So you can, in a simple mathematical formula, you can say OS equal to kernel plus libraries plus utilities actually. Okay, so that's what our libraries are commands, you can whatever it is actually. Okay, so or you can say applications, so whatever. And then and then the utilities, some cases utilities is nothing but collection of multiple applications actually. Okay, so that is the kernel. And hardware space, you know that one, that is the CPU, memory and all, which only kernel will deal. You cannot deal from the application actually. So if you see this one as a general user, so system calls directly you can use the kernel OS. Library calls, if you see this one, application use library calls. Library calls will use the libraries, built-in libraries. Then it will be that particular libraries will call the kernel OS services. This may not be a scope, but I just take one small example, like your printf in C programming. I hope everybody knows C programming. So printf in C programming is nothing but a library function. So this library function will use the kernel services if it is in Linux, called write system call actually. So that's what here, and you can directly use from the system call actually. So this is a brief of that. So as our scope, no need for you to understand completely, but just from a user perspective, at least you need to know the basic terminology. Okay, so that's what my idea to keep this particular slide. Okay, so here library calls, system calls is nothing but you will mostly use in C, C++ programming, and then basics and shell scripting, this layer, user space layer actually. And then if you take kernel space layer, Linux system programming, kernel programming, driver programming, everything will come under the kernel space. And then hardware space, you know that one, the real hardware actually. So that's what you have, the user space, kernel space, and hardware space. Okay, so this is brief of that. So, and as I said, like no user space, like why we need, like no, sometimes why you use library calls, sometimes why you use system calls. So basically if you use system calls, actually it is not portable. Means let us assume this is Linux OS, now I replace it with Windows OS, Windows operating system. So means Windows system calls may be different from Linux system calls, then it may not work actually. But let us assume, so this portion, view this portion removed, and then you have another one. So this is dependent, application is dependent on system calls, but system calls is independent of its own OS. Means system call in Windows is not exactly same as system call in Linux. So that's what, now if you don't want portability, you need to use the library calls. So if I say printf, let us assume I am using printf from the library, so it will be using the right system call in the Linux. And if it is something Windows, I don't know exactly in Windows what if printf will use which library function, so that one it will be using that, like now in the Windows it may be using that particular one. So mostly this portable. So if you want to support your application only like Linux part of the thing, it is better thing is you use the system call. If it is only like no, if you want to support multiple operating system, Windows and all, it will be better to use the library calls. Okay, so that is the like no, a big decision whenever somebody developing an application. So but here you need to understand the just the information on that. Of course, if you have any questions on that, you are like no, welcome to like email, and I can try to address that particular questions if you have any. Okay, so let us go with the next thing, operating system components. Okay, so here if you see this particular one, kernel OS, so this particular one we are going to discuss. So we have seen whatever the system call, library calls. So basically this user space area, like no, as I said earlier, like C programmers, C++ programmers, or shell scripting basics, and Linux basics. So this area it will come. And kernel space, like no, Linux system programming means internals, like no, system programming, kernel programming, this device driver, network programming. So if you, that is the kernel space. I'm just giving the brief, so even though it is not the scope of our discussion, but just to give you a glance, I'm just telling this. So let's go with the kernel or OS. So kernel OS components actually. So what are this particular kernel or OS? So what you have here. So if you take this particular this portion, I mean to say this kernel or OS portion. So if you see this one, it has this particular components: memory management, process management, file system management, IO device management, network management. So do we need all this particular one? So you may need to know latest the terminology, but you are not going to implement. So then, like let us assume you are going to develop a device driver. Then you should know the depth of that. Means whatever you are going to see, it is from the this user space only we are going to learn. But kernel space, that is not our scope, that is very big ocean. So that here only this portion we will see. Okay, so like memory management. So memory management means like what do you mean by memory management, how you will check the disk space and whatever the disk usage and all that things. Process management means I have multiple process under my user. Okay, so what I need to do, so let us assume one process is hanging and it is went into infinite loop, or one process I want to communicate with another process. All the things, it is part of process management. So we will see that particular commands with respect to these components in the upcoming topics. So as of now, just I am giving a brief. So memory management means whatever the disk space, user usage, and all that things, part of that. And then it is loading into the RAM and all that things, part of that. But we are not going to do because it is automatically done actually. So let us say I say ls. So it is automatically that particular binary, it will be loading into the RAM, and it will be asking the operating system, and then it will be giving the result, and it will be displaying. So I'm not going to do the internal implementation. The OS will do automatically. So but we will see the user perspective, what it will be. Okay, so now process management means a communication between multiple processes in that particular user. A file system means now I have, that is the main core of this particular one. So Linux basically, most of the things we will use the file system management related commands only. Means let us assume I have a file, right? I want to write some content, I want to read that content, or I want to delete certain content, like that. And I want to count that many characters, that many strings, I want to replace that. So like that, I want to check whether I have it is a file or a directory. So many things actually. So that's what now we'll be seeing that one file system thing from the user perspective, Linux basic perspective. So IOR device management means, so this is your real device. So let us assume you have the hard drive actually. So this particular thing where it will be stored, it is like that particular information we will see. Okay, so how you'll recognize whether it is a character special file, black special file, device management thing, only from the user perspective. Network management means this network management related commands means what? Let us assume I have two systems, I want to transfer one file from one system to other system. So that is like that. Or I want to log in from one system to another system. So how I need to do? So that kind of network management we'll be seeing as a user perspective, means basic commands and all that things. So that are the very brief about the operating system components. So this is operating system components thing. Now we'll come to the Linux actually. So if you see this particular Linux, as I told, it is developed by Linus Torvalds as part of his final year project. So as we have seen that one, what is difference between Unix and Linux? Unix and Linux, as a user, both are same actually, but implementation is different. Means Unix is implemented in a different way, Linux is implemented in different way. There is there is no dependencies on that actually. So just it is the implementation is different. So that's what Unix and Linux. So and everything it will be uses GNU tools. So if you see the GNU stands for GNU is a reverse acronym. It stands for GNU, means G stands for GNU. There is no abbreviation for that. NU means not Unix actually. So GNU means GNU, not Unix. So that is called reverse acronym. Means it is a Linux. It is like Unix, but not Unix. That's what they mean to say. So you have libraries, GCC, bin utils, file utils, and all that things. So what is the base difference between Linux and Unix? As we discussed, Unix is a proprietary operating system, but Linux is not a proprietary operating system. It is a free actually. So what is free? So executables are free, as well as the binaries are free actually. Okay, so if you can if you want to do your own implementation, you can just go to the kernel.org, kernel.org site, and you will have the particular one kernel versions and all you can use for your own purpose. But if you are using for commercial purpose, that is different thing. But as an individual user you can use, that's what, if you are using that is called GPL license actually. Okay, so general public license. So it means what? If you are using for a commercial thing, you have two things. So one, you need to pay the money, and you can no need you can use on your thing. And the GPL means general public license. What I mean to say is there are two things. So if you are using the Linux operating system, as you were taken that and modified that operating system, and you want to use your own purpose. So if you want to use your own purpose, it is one of the two conditions will apply. So the first condition is, if you want to use your own purpose, you need to pay the money and use for your own purpose. No need for you to give to everyone. So that is the first thing. Second thing, if you don't want to pay the money, then you want to release to the general public. So that is the GPL. Means either pay money and use for your own purposes, and then otherwise you no need for you to pay the money, but you need to release for all the users. That is called the general public license actually. But if you take something like Android and all, they have taken the Linux, but Android you cannot they cannot put into the public thing, then like if you take mobile like no whoever mobile providers actually, so they have taken the Linux system, they modified that particular Linux, they bought the Linux for huge fees, and then like no they cannot give to entire one because they have their own operating system, they want their own business and like that. So that's what they bought, that they modified and they kept themselves. So that's what like no GPL, but it is not matter for us because we are a user, and if you are working in a industry, it will company will take care that particular license and all, licensing and all. Okay, so that's what the brief. So GNU means GNU not Unix tools, means it is a free organization which has to provide the tools, means Linux is free we are telling, but we need to get a this GCC means what? GNU C compiler or GNU compiler collection, that is to compile the C program actually. And utilities, binary utilities, file utilities, make and all that things. Emacs is a editor, so I want to write some like no shell script, then I need to have a editor actually. So then who will provide? This is provided by GNU tools actually. GNU is a like no private organization which will support, give tools all free of cost. Okay, so and keep in mind, free of cost means like no it is only for your own per use, but if you are using that particular thing for commercial purposes, GPL license will apply. So that is that particular one. Okay, so now like no this is very brief about the Linux. So that's what we have discussed. GNU is GNU not Unix, reverse acronym. And then completely free Unix like operating system, it is not Unix, means implementations are different but the functionality is same. So just you can think about Unix and Linux, functionality is same but implementation is different. So that's what, but we are not going to do the implementation, so we don't care. So ours is only the functionality. So that's what it doesn't matter for us. Okay, so you can see here who has started and all this particular one, and then what are the components. Okay, so okay, so this is the brief about the GNU project. And if, as I said, that GNU distributions are two things: community distribution, commercial distribution. So community distribution means like both sources and binaries are free and there will not be any support. But if it is a commercial distribution, so I bought an operating system but there is some bug, so that whoever provides, whoever sells that one, he has to fix that actually. Otherwise I am paying that particular one operating system for money. So right, I have given money, so I need to, they need to support. So that's what, if it is a commercial, they have the support. If it is not a commercial, may or may not have the support. And as you know that one, GNU Linux is everyone can work on the Linux things. Like let us assume you want to work on the bugs and all, you can go to the net and you can support things. Means GNU is contributed by all, everyone actually, you can contribute. Of course that will be reviewed and all, it will be work and it should not have any side effect and all that will check. But like no you have that particular chance of working in the Linux. If you like no if you are very acquainted with the Linux, and then you have that particular chance, so you can work as a like no developer or whatever bug fixing you can do. Okay, so this commercial distribution, community distributions we'll have, we have. So if you take whatever the community distribution, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora Core and all that is community. And Red Hat, some cases it may be commercial, some cases Red Hat even the community purpose also we can use. So these are the with respect to Linux distribution. So here in this slide you can see the operating system, various Linux operating systems, and then the Unix operating systems. So the like Windows, Android, Apple, iOS, Ubuntu. So these are all brief of that particular one. Okay, so but where what we'll be running is the Ubuntu operating system we'll be using. We'll be using the Ubuntu operating system. So we'll use this particular Ubuntu. Okay, so now like no, we have done with the theory portion. So this is up to like in this one we have done with the theory. So in the next one we will go with proceed with login session and all. So as of now just this particular thing has only the theory, so please keep patience on that and then go through this one, listen to that. And if you have like no want to more information, you can search on the Google, and then like no any questions you can drop, I will check as per my availability, I'll try to address that. And this is the theory one. Okay, so we'll see the next topic in the upcoming sessions. Okay, then bye for now.